Njeri, first of all, thank you so much for making time for us. And I feel like, I won't say we start from the basics, but I thought my first question to you would be, just take us through or tell us, the difference between gender-based violence and femicide, because I feel like we should never assume that people understand what we're talking about. And this conversation should always happen from the beginning, ensuring that people really, really understand.
Femicide is a culmination of unchecked gender-based violence. Because when we talk about femicide, we're not talking about just anyone killing anyone. Somebody walking into this room and shoots all of us, we're not going to come out and start saying, oh my God, that's femicide. Femicide is different. It's intentional. It is very much gendered. You cannot remove the gendered aspect of it because it's not anything that just happened to you suddenly. When we look at the statistics in Kenya, and I've started with femicide, I should have started with gender-based violence, but yeah. When you look at the statistics that we get all the time, 75% of the killings are by intimate partners, either a current partner, an ex-partner, somebody who you have had intimate relations with, right? And then when you look at the other 20%, that is where it comes in, like strangers, where rape comes in, so there's sexual violence. All of which, when you look at, are actual components of gender-based violence. Now, within femicide, we don't just look at just the intimate partner part of it. We are looking at things like elder violence. And by elder violence, I mean when old women are killed simply by their gender. And we know this because it has escalated. We are looking at old women who are being killed and being accused of witchcraft. We see it in Kilifi, we see it in Kisii, but now the thing is, it's become regularized. We have a case in court for 4 women who were killed in Murang'a. 2 years back, we are still in court with that case. They were killed because somebody accused them of being witches. And they were burned, and they were killed. So right now, it doesn't matter where you are. Femicide, when we say femicide and we say it is gendered, it is because when we use gender, we are saying somebody killed that person because she was a woman. When we look at incidents of misogyny and how misogyny is perpetuated and how it works against women, is that, for me, I don't take misogyny easily. I say misogyny kills. Because when people perpetuate misogyny against women, and they keep on saying, oh, women this, women deserve to be killed. And we are coming, and my team is here, and they can tell you, we have come from a fresh femicide case.
Yeah, because when I talked to you earlier and we were trying to have a conversation about today, we literally could not speak because Njeri had to respond to a case. Are you in a position to tell us what exactly had happened?
Let me first finish on gender-based violence and I come back.
Sure. And Njeri, anytime you feel like you want to stop the conversation, I know it's very difficult, we'll gladly stop there, but yeah, go on.
Yeah, so all these aspects. So what is gender-based violence? Gender-based violence is violence meted on a person on the basis of their gender. And gender means everyone. Everybody has a gender, right? And so we're looking at sexual violence, we're looking at intimate partner violence, we are looking at sexual assault, we are looking at honor, we are looking at, FGM, all of those components that come up to make gender-based violence. Now, when gender-based violence is unchecked, which it is in Kenya, it is unchecked. What we are seeing is the apex.
When you say it is unchecked, what do you mean for someone who does not understand that?
In Kenya today, to be very honest, and I will sit here and ask if there are the women who are in this space, or even the men, when you go to a police station and you try to report something, how does that work? If I ask the women sitting here, and this is specific to women, how is CBD today? Do you feel safe? Is it just regular uchokozi or is it sexual harassment? Sexual harassment is gender-based violence. Why are women being sexually harassed? Why is it okay for you to pass and for somebody to slap your butt, to pinch your breasts, because these are the things people are saying are happening to them in CBD. This is before we even start talking about the other crimes. Working in CBD is so unsafe for a woman today, unchecked. And who do you tell? Who do you report to? What do you say? When women have been normalized to be, oh, you can just pass, you will be grabbed, you will be groped. And I promise you, the worst part of it, and this I saw like 3 or so DMs today, people are writing and saying that men are removing their private parts in the streets. I don't know what to explain. That is insane if you think about it. That is unchecked. Who do you report to?
When you say who do you report to, someone might ask you, the police station, the police officer. Police officers exist.
Okay. So the police officers exist, right? And we have gender desks. And you can go and report. If you have ever gone to report in a police station, how safe do you feel? Do you feel heard? Do you feel listened to? The reason Usikimye started doing hospital ride, police accompaniment, court accompaniment, is simply because people would call us and tell us, hey, when Usikimye started, it started as an online page. All I wanted to do was to explain to people about gender-based violence. Usikimye started because of the femicide of Dr. Ivy Wangeshi. Always. That is why femicide is that important to me. And now, when people would report and they would tell me, but I've gone to the police station. And I remember one woman told me she was told, and I'll say this in Kiswahili, vile mlikula hiyo shopping na bwana yako huku Twitter. And I was like, no, I have read. I have read. I didn't have on-ground experience. I was like, but I've read. This is not how police treat people. They are gender desk. Did you go to the gender desk? They must have treated, they understand that you are a victim of gender-based violence. Outright. People are not, they're not gender sensitive. They don't. And I want to say this, and I hate that I have to say this. I understand sometimes, because the burden that is shoved on police, I hate that I even have to justify this, but I do understand sometimes, but I still get angry. It doesn't justify how we also respond to the people who have been injured. I also understand that police have to see a lot. Today alone, I can say we've handled, 15 cases?
15 cases just today.
Yeah, not femicide entirely. Today we've handled 2 cases of femicide. Mm-hmm. But we have handled different cases today. Gender-based violence, emotional violence, psychological violence, physical violence. We've handled different cases.
Maybe you can talk to us about the case that you attended to today. Yes. And this, the reason why I'm asking this is just so that we can paint an exact picture of what the reality is and how bad the crisis is.
Let me start how my morning started. I opened my WhatsApp and I saw a HRD, human rights defender from Turkana, that I work with in Lodwar. And she told me, Njeri, there is a woman who has been killed here in Lodwar. That's in Turkana. And I said, oh my God, what has happened? And then she wrote to me. I think I should even have my phone. And it's very graphic. And so I told her, oh, please don't send me her body. Don't send me her body, just send me a picture and her case and just what would you like me to do? She said, please amplify. What she did was she sent me her body. And she was she was first gang raped. Again, these are the markers we look at when we look at femicide. She was gang raped, and then they cut her ears, and then they cut, it was bad. It was so brutal, and she was only 23 years old. And from where they killed her to her house, it's like here and where the lifts are. And they left her body there naked, just discarded, like it was just garbage. And I was like, okay, I need a break. Let me just go answer emails. And then I figure out things. Remember, I'd even told Dayo I'll come in early so that we can work together on the exhibits. Sure. So at around 11, we got a call, and this person says their neighbor has been killed by the husband. And we asked her, what do you mean? And she says she was preparing to run. She had just packed her clothes and her babies, and now she was ready to leave when he came into the house and he stabbed her to death. The neighbors were so worried. If you actually see the house, they tried to remove the mabati, to remove the children, because there were 3 children in the house. And so he murdered her in front of those children. The firstborn is 11, and the other ones are little. And one was clinging on Ruth. Ruth is our operations manager, and she was asking where her mom is. And how do you tell a child where the mom has gone? Her mom is dead. She was killed in her house, where is supposed to be the safest place. And just walking into the house and seeing the amount of blood on the walls, on the floor, and the children were left there. So we ran there to rescue the children, because you can imagine the trauma. The 11-year-old hasn't stopped crying.
And I can imagine how difficult this was. And this you respond to every other day, Njeri. When this call comes to you, what is the first thing you do, especially when you get to the site of the incident? So like today, what happened?
You know, it doesn't, I don't know how to explain to you. It's very fresh. And I say this, if I ever stop feeling, I am stopping this work. Because I have to allow myself to feel.
But you're feeling every other time.
But you have to feel.
And clearly it's not stopping. What keeps you going then?
Because these women mattered. Because if I don't advocate for them, who is going to advocate for them? If somebody doesn't, they're dead. Somebody needs to speak for them. Even before I knew about Tiffany, I wrote about Tiffany. Because people write to me and they tell me, and they send me the evidence. And most of the time, nobody ever asks me permission if they can send me the picture of a dead body.
So there's no prior warning, you could be having a bad day, and then this just comes to you on top of what you're dealing with. I remember when I actually first met you, Njeri, when I came to do this story, you'd said it had gotten to a point where you're feeling, your therapist had told you, you might need to stop this. But months down the line, you're still going.
We are going through, and me and my team, we have severe burnout. We need a break. We need a break. Tayo's team, Creative Garage, they need a break, and they hosted Maskan. We need a break because this country just extracts and it never gives back.
And what does it say about a culture that people still ask what it should do to deserve it? Because half the time, the blame is on the victim.
We need to stop. We need to change our attitude. And once again, I'm going to say this, because we have this particular thing where we blame women. It's our fault. It's always our fault. What were you wearing? Where were you walking? What did you do to provoke that man? Why did you choose wrongly? We should choose kind boyfriends, kind partners. The onus is always on you. It's same with rape. Like, even if you're going to court to prove it, the onus is always on the victim to prove that she was actually raped.
Where does that stem from, the blaming?
It stems from misogyny. It stems from patriarchy. It stems from cultural norms that expect women to submit to certain notions. It stems from expecting women to give you service. Paloma sings and she says, we're your laborers. That's what you see us as. Because if you saw us as fully human, and you actually saw us not just as, see women as human, that's what we are. We're not just mothers and daughters and sisters. We are fully human, and we need to be recognized as such. Because a country should be shut down if a woman is dying every 18 hours. And in Kenya, a woman is dying every 18 hours and nothing. What justifies this? What justifies the comments I see? And I see them.
And speaking of comments, actually, as soon as I put up that I was inviting you as the main guest, the first question, obviously abusive, but it was on the lines of, when are you going to talk about androcide and the fact that men too are being killed, and they're being killed because of police brutality?
Yeah, right. Let's go back. Femicide is the intentional killing of women because they're women, and women are being killed by everyone. They're being killed by their boyfriends. They're being killed by their fathers. We live in a country where a 17-year-old can be removed from camp and go and get married to a 55-year-old man and get killed and nobody bats an eyelid, were there no outcry, that story would have just died, as many others do. We live in a country where children as young as 4 days are raped. We live in a country where taking a 1-year-old to hospital because they have been brutalized and raped by their own fathers. When we look at defilement, 48% is fathers, 47% is stepfathers. And then we go to uncles, and then we go to teachers, and then we go to religious leaders, and then family friends. That's the country we live in. We live in a country where it doesn't matter. Women and children, they can be defiled, it's okay. So that leads to a culture of disrespect. That is why when we are talking about femicide, and this is not a gender war, us saying women are being killed does not negate the fact that men are being killed. Nobody is saying men are not being killed. Us saying we want rights and we want justice for the women who have been killed does not negate the 60 men that were killed. It doesn't. I speak about them. I still have a swollen leg on where I was beaten. Look at my knee. On where I was beaten by the police. It's been over a month. Saba. Right? I was in the protest. I was beaten.
But
But that being said, does it negate the fact that women are being killed? When it is an androcide, do you know who they tag? Make a wild guess. When a man is injured, who do you think they tag? How many men do you think walk to our offices to get our services? Why? Because who else offers service? And I've never turned away a man because he's walked into our office needing help. Yet, it's always made to look like it's a gender war.
And part of the reason why you've been advocating for femicide to be termed a national disaster, to what extent will this help? Just talk us through why this is the one thing that you have been pushing for.
Femicide is a national disaster. I mean, if you remember, the last time the president announced there was a national disaster was Kibaki, when there was accidents. Did you see the response? What do you think happened immediately when Kibaki said that we are not going to see accidents? What happened? Roads were paved, dangerous places were taken care of. If you were a culprit or if you were seen to have done something, you were jailed. In Kenya today, you can kill a woman and walk free. Whether you're rich or you're poor or you're middle class, what? You will walk. And it's very easy. I promise you it's very easy. There was a woman who was killed in Soweto. And I remember this distinctly because these people came running to our office to call us. And it was like 5 blocks away from our office. And when we reached there, I want you to know this because my reaction till today was captured. When we reached there, we didn't know who was walikuwa nafanya harambee ile ya mtaa. Uko na chwani, uko na nini mbao, nini like that. Do you know, I thought they were raising money to get a car to remove the body. Do you know what they were raising the money for? To give the man who had killed his wife to run. And he ran. Walimchangia pesa hapo hapo. Manze usialau hii noma, hii noma. Manze jo utaenda na noma, utangukiwa na noma. Like that. And they raised money. We were there, me and Ruth, in absolute shock. And I remember because we were also with the New York Times reporter who had come to ask about femicide. And you could see his whole entire body was in shock. And that man has never spoken to me since, and I don't blame him. Like he saw it with his own eyes. What happens? Like the woman's body was still in her house when these men were raising money, and that man, they raised 1,500 and wakamsho enda exile. And alienda exile. Na hivyo ndio story ilikunywa maji. How many people do you think, if you do statistically right now, how many people do you think have gone to jail for femicide? Now, why do I need this to be in the national consciousness, and why do I keep on talking about it? Because under the Constitution, what does the government of Kenya guarantee you as a citizen? What are the liberties that are guaranteed to a citizen of Kenya under the Constitution? What is the most important one?
Definitely right to life.
Right to life.
Yeah.
Do we have right to life as women? So, if the government guarantees me right to life, then do we also have rights for the government to guard us? And I know you're going to say, but it happens. You already told us 75% is going to happen kwa nyumba zenyu. How many of those women have gone to the police to report? How many? When I report, aki sitaki kufanya hiyo kitu wa Kenya ufanya, but forgive me for this one. I went to a police station in the US. They have something called the lethality test. Now, the lethality test is administered every time a woman goes to the police station and reports that she has been, even men, it's administered as long as you're a victim of gender-based violence. They check, they write, how many times has she reported previously? And then they note. And then they say, oh, this woman is in danger of being killed. They already take notes. You find somebody, and I'll give an example of Alice from Kandara. Alice left her home in Utawala, took her kids and ran, and left Nairobi completely. She left Nairobi and moved and went to live in a place called Kandara. And she was a nurse. Removed her children from school and knew she was safe. So she was away from Nairobi. Her husband, her ex-husband, tracked her down to the house where she was and went and killed her again in front of the children. We are really raising traumatized children. Her 3 children. He went and killed her there. I want you to know that we had helped her get a restraining order against the husband. A protection order, right? If Kenyan police did policing in the right way, whereby they're like, your first, situation, where you say, hey, this man has done this to me. The second one, where are the safe houses? I need to have a safe place to run.
You know, one of the issues that I've come across when people go to the police station, the first thing that police officers will literally tell you is that these are domestic issues, go back home and sort it. I'm sure you've come across that kind of thinking.
That
right?
is the police. Yeah. That is also the administration.
Yeah.
That is also society. That is also religious spaces. That is also your friends. We gaslight women. We tell them, go home. Hey, hizi ni mambo za watu. In fact, Kenyans have coined a saying, mambo za watu wawili wanajifuniki. Right? And sisi we don't interfere. So mambo ya watu wawili ndio hii imefika. Sasa watu wawili ndio hao umeuliwa. Do you know what the neighbor said about this killing for today?
Yeah.
We just thought it was another domestic dispute.
So it had been going on and on and on.
And you know we don't. Unajua bystander. Kama hata ni tao, utavutwa hiyo, they will grab you and nobody will help you. And I think I'm going to start telling women, scream your head off. By then, right now, don't take it seated. Scream. Because screaming scares men. Scream. Now, back to this. Why do I want Kenya to institutionalize this as a national crisis?
Yeah.
Because the government is supposed to guarantee my right to life. Because the government is supposed to protect me. How do the government protect me? Where are the government safe houses? I have run a safe house, Usikimye runs safe houses, and we have done so since 2019 till today. We've never gotten a shilling from the government. Just so that you know, our safe houses have never been funded by anyone. They are funded by the money that people put in our pay bill. Now, if a woman is running away from a dangerous situation, she's supposed to go to a safe house. Where are the safe houses? That is where the guarantee protection to life comes from. I should come to the police report and you tell me, hey, you go to the safe house, we will go get your children. Try to get the police to come help you get your children.
And Njeri, government put out, 100 million Kenya shillings for the safe homes, safe spaces. They put together a task force. They said the report would be out in 90 days. It's almost 2 or 3 months since the deadline lapsed. What do you think of that?
I wrote 100-page recommendations on what I thought they should do to improve gender-based violence reporting, what I think they should do in terms of safe houses, what I think they should do in terms of making femicide a law. I wrote, like ilikuwa kubwa. We went to give this. I was myself and Joanna Kay, and we went to the public participation. First of all, when we went to the public participation, if anybody was there, we were lectured. We were told what to do, how to do it. And because it was in Kayole, and you know, when ukishaanza kwenda na huko hivyo kwa mtaa, you're not seen as people, fully people, you know.
What do you mean fully people?
Like, unajua watu wa mtaa, ni maskini. Like, unajua kwa kama dharau. Kuna kale ka, that thing that we do to people who we don't think are lesser than us. So they really, really, really treated us badly. Until they forget that we are all activists, and you are not going to mistreat us, and we are going to keep quiet. Hao ni wamama wangu wa mtaa. Tukaanza tu hapo hivyo kuzusha. Because first of all, they were like, only one person can speak. It's a public participation. So public participation is one person here, one person. How is that public participation? So tukaanza kuzusha. Wakasema, first of all, they are leaving. They came late. They came at 11. They want to leave at 1. They haven't listened to people. Women are there. They legitimately, men are there. Everybody had the things they wanted to say. And they were being told, you can't just do it the way you want. It has to be. And then the commissioners or whoever was supposed to be listening, they were busy scrolling on their phones. So I don't know.
Yeah, and Njeri, we're just about to open this to the audience. And Shiro is going to be on the roving mic, just taking any questions. So if you do have any questions, please raise up your hand, and then Shiro will come to you. But as Shiro looks for someone with a question, perhaps this question came from someone by the name Yvonne. In fact, in a perfect world, what would be your vision for the children and women of Kenya and the men too? Because as you've said, femicide is not just a women's issue as most people tend to think about it as.
In a perfect world, it would be a world where we respect each other. It is a world in which we see beyond this. It is a world in which you see your partner, somebody worth of respect. It is a world in which we love our children, because Kenya hates its children, and you can never convince me otherwise. Kenya hates its children. We Kenyans give birth to children because it is a societal demand, not because we love these children. Because if you loved your children, those children that burned in that dormitory in Njeri, and that school is still standing, does not make sense. If we loved our children, that child that died yesterday in Narok and the teachers hanged him up would not exist. A perfect world is a world we don't even have to, we claim we are Christians. And I say the word claim because we are only Christian kwa mdomo. In a perfect world, we would love our neighbors. In a perfect world, we would not rape children. In a perfect world, children would not be starving to death in this country. I'm not talking about anywhere else. I feed 500 children. Usikimye feeds 500 children every day. And we do it what? We do it so that these children can stay in school, cannot be molested, cannot go out to beg for food. You see these children you see in Tao doing duru. Duru is that nipe, right?
Borrowing.
Yes.
Yep.
I hope you know that these children, majority of them get defiled. And by default, I hate the word defiled. It always feels like you're soiled. These children get raped. And they don't get raped by straight families because that's what you're thinking. They get raped in cars. Somebody pulls a child and anambia kuja kwa gari. And so what we have done is to ensure that the children of Soweto don't go to do duru, because when they do duru, they come back home and they've been abused. In a perfect world, children would have food. We would have schools that work. I went to a public primary school. I went to Nairobi River Primary School. I'm an alumni of a public primary school. And that school was great. And I went the other day and I was in shock. It's in shambles. The pool is green. Yes, we had a pool.
Njeri, let me stop you there.